welcome to the India Development Debate. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. The call is for an Atmanirbhar Bharat. The view is that yes, we will recover. And it comes from the Prime Minister. It comes at a very important time because it comes just a day after Modi's has downgraded India's rating. The outlook remains negative. We know that there are dark clouds looming, and not just over the western coast of the country because of an upcoming cyclone, but over the economic horizon as well. And the solution seems to be that we should become self-reliant, that we should be Atmanirbhar. Well, is that the way forward, and how feasible is it? We're going to talk about all this and more on the show up ahead. We're going to ask about how we can move from a slogan, which we saw the first version of in 2014, Made in India, to reality. But before that, let's just lay out for you what the Prime Minister said today and how it was followed with very specific measures for incentives in a field where we import the most.
While dark clouds gather on the Indian economic horizon, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is confident that India will get its growth back, and the path to recovery is self-reliance.
Trust me, getting growth back इतना मुश्किल भी नहीं है। और सबसे बड़ी बात कि अब आपके पास, इंडियन इंडस्ट्रीज के पास एक क्लियर पाथ है। आत्मनिर्भर भारत का रास्ता, सेल्फ रिलायंट इंडिया का पाथ।
Prime Minister Modi was speaking to the top names in Indian industry when he reiterated his push for an Atmanirbhar Bharat. It's a call that has been echoed by the Home Minister Amit Shah, with a call for Indians to back products that are made in India. And even the IT Minister, Ravi Shankar Prasad, has announced incentives to boost the manufacture of mobile handsets, a large portion of which are still imported.
We want India to become a huge center of global manufacturing hub, basically designed to scale our capabilities. These three schemes are basically designed to fulfill the objective of scaling India's capacity, supply chain, and India's economy becoming an asset to the global economy. That is how I see these three new schemes.
India's push for self-reliance as policy is not a new one. In fact, the Make in India program, kicked off in the Modi government's first term, had middling success. Will the second attempt now, in the wake of the corona pandemic, be the game changer? That is the question.
All right, speaking to me now on the Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant plan is Kamal Nandi, who's Executive Vice President of Godrej Appliances. He also heads the Association for Manufacturers of Electrical Equipment and Appliances. I'm speaking with Mr. N.K. Goyal, who's the President of the Telecom Equipment Manufacturing Association. And remember, we still import a large amount of our handphones. That's what the target is, to get more of those made in India. I'm also joined today by Professor Biswajit Dhar, who is CESP from JNU, of course. Welcome to all of you, and great to have you on the show. Mr. Nandi, let me begin by getting your take. I know this is aimed largely at handset manufacturers, but I'm very interested in knowing what your overall take is on the plan of Atmanirbhar Bharat. You represent an industry which is not entirely Atmanirbhar. You still depend a lot on imports to manufacture your products. A lot of them come from other countries, namely China, in large quantity. And that reliance is going to remain till we are price competitive, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. I think you are right that our industry, the manufacturing activity is not high. We have, if you look at currently, I think over the last 4 to 5 years, post the Make in India vision called by the Honorable Prime Minister, I think we have made significant progress. A lot of assembly operations have started in the industry. But even today, I think the value add is not more than 25 to 30% that we are doing. A large part of the components are still imported from China, and that is a challenge that we are facing. I think this is the right time for India to step up and accelerate its whole activity and effort in making India self-reliant. We have made good progress under the Make in India vision. Now is the time to make India self-reliant. And I think for that, there are a number of measures that the country can take. So, for example, I think the biggest dividend that we have is population and younger population and demographics in our favor. If we are able to create demand in the country for consumption, I think that is the topmost in the agenda. And then you will really see that a lot of MNCs and a lot of global brands are willing to come and invest in the country because they see a consumption potential already available in the country. What China did to its economy will have to do the same thing. So I think the focus has to be there first. Apart from that, there are other factors like creating an infrastructure, which is almost plug and play, because most of the brands would like to come and set up their units here. And if you are offering them a plug and play infrastructure, which is very easy to use and get into manufacturing, I think you will see more and more players coming in. Then we need to also focus on skill development. I think we have a huge workforce. I think skill development is a big area for us that we have to work on. And if you're able to really work on this, I don't see a reason why MNC brands should not consider India as China plus one. I think instead of all the Southeast Asian countries taking away this pie now, which is there, and all MNCs are looking for China plus one, I think this is the right opportunity for us to go ahead and make India self-reliant.
Okay.
Another point which I want to add is that I think the difference is on the scale between us and China. If you look at between us and China, okay, and that scale, if you are able to build up over a period of time through support from the government and the incentive, I think we can really make a very good manufacturing hub in this country for the rest of the world.
Okay, Mr. Goyal, let me come to you, and some of the announcements that have been made today, especially by Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, and just to alert for viewers, you will hear a bit of his interview to us ahead in the show as well. But some of those incentives are specifically aimed at getting more mobile phones and allied equipment manufactured in India. Now, this is important because about 70% of what we use comes from China. The major brands from China dominate the market. So it's all very well when people start trending a hashtag saying, remove this app or boycott goods from this country. But the fact is that is how India communicates right now. So how will you really incentivize movement of manufacturing here? What is the plan over here?
Thank you very much. First of all, my thanks to ET Now for such a wonderful program, and thanks to my co-panelists, Mr. Nandi and Dhar. I'm happy to be with you, all of you three. Now, two things. One, as regards announcements made today. Actually, these schemes have been officially announced on 1st of April. There are 3 schemes. They are aimed for incentivizing local production in electronics sector in India. The schemes are to the order of 50,000 crores. Without any doubt, these 3 schemes together are going to bring lots of new investors from other countries. The schemes as it is are aimed to bring them here. So we are hopeful, as per the statement of our minister, we hope 5 global champions and 5 national champions to come over here. And India is now being looked after by everybody as one of the largest markets. Having said that, I wanted to go to second topic, which is my favorite topic is telecom. What has happened is that the COVID era has made realize the world over that globalization is not the way forward. Now everybody in the world is thinking of localization. Globalization has become now a bad word to some extent. So every country is trying to promote local manufacturing, and there lies the challenge for all the countries. There are X number of manufacturing companies in world, in China or other places, and they have to shift. So every country is doing its best for that thing. Having said that, as far as India is concerned, we are largest market. We have no problem with demand. We have the incentives. We have the schemes. The only thing or only issue with us is one issue is the craze which is faced by users for the so-called new technology or latest technology. What happens every month or second month, a new cell phone will be announced having X, Y, Z feature, which
Yes.
is huge. So what happens, whatever you make today in India will not be the same thing as is available somewhere in China or US after 1 month. So we have to develop a habit and system, be satisfied with what you have today, new thing will go on coming. Same thing happens.
Wow. But
Same
Mr.
thing
Goyal,
happens.
I would argue that, the Indian consumer deserves the same quality of product that the world is getting. You're now
have a
saying
choice.
that the Indian consumer should be satisfied with what is made in India. I don't think that's the plan. I don't think that was the purpose. That whatever we make, I think the plan and purpose is that we should make world-class quality products on par with everyone else. Let me get Professor Dhar in here. Because first of all, we have to understand what is Atmanirbhar
Can I
Bharat.
reply to your question because the
I will
question
come to you, sir. But let me just get Professor Dhar in here and I'll come back to you. We have to understand what is Atmanirbhar Bharat. Are we talking about a second Swadeshi movement where we will only consume goods which are within India and made in India? I don't think so, because time and again it has been clarified that we are not, inward looking. This doesn't mean we cut off from the rest of the world. We also want to produce goods that will be exported all over the world and will be used all over the world. We want international manufacturers to come and make here. So what exactly do we want, Professor Dhar? And how will that happen?
Yeah, thank you, Tamanna. I think, this Atmanirbharta is being interpreted by various people in various ways. And one of the popular interpretations is import substitution. And I think, that's the danger that we face, because if you start going back to import substitution, you will actually go nowhere. So I think the government will have to be strategic about it. It is not that we would try and manufacture everything that is available anywhere. But the important thing is that to really identify those sectors which the government is going to back and provide the kind of incentives that are required. And then also, the commensurate infrastructure and that is needed for those industries. Now, one important aspect here that, the Prime Minister mentioned 5 things. Intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, innovation. Now, my co-panelists didn't talk about innovation. Now, I think without innovation, you'll actually slip into the kind of problem that you were talking about, that, it's not that the intention of manufacturing sector here is to give outdated products. And that was the problem with the manufacturing sector, that it's not that we did not have a manufacturing sector, we did have it. But the thing is that as the country opened up to competition, this manufacturing sector became irrelevant, because, the consumers are demanding, state-of-the-art products, and you're giving outdated products. So obviously, you're not going to have any buy-in with the consumers. So I think it's very important for the industry also and the government to recognize that, infrastructure and innovation go hand in hand. And it's for the government to really, have the institutions in place, because we know that the industry doesn't have the wherewithal to invest as it is required.
No, okay. One sec. Let me just get a perspective in from Mr. Kamal Nandi here. This is a long, a long drawn sort of argument that I've been hearing for several years, that Indian manufacturers do not have the wherewithal to compete. We don't have the wherewithal to, be on par. And of course, the cost advantage seems to be missing. Now, can we or can we not come to a position where we can make our own stuff and get international players to come and make over here? Or will we now say that, let's buy only what is Indian, no matter what the quality is?
No, I don't think, that is the scenario. I think we are already in a global competitive era. And I think Indian manufacturers and all those manufacturing in India are producing world-class products which can compete with any part of the world in terms of its quality, its reliability, its technology. And just to give you some example, I think recently there was a global cooling challenge which is thrown up in the world about creating a technology which can bring down the consumption of air conditioners by 80% than the current level. And from the world, there are 8 finalists which has been shortlisted out of 191 applications globally. And from India, it was Godrej which has been one of the finalists which has been able to bring out that technology. So it is under prototype and will be developed very fast, and there is support coming in. So I think we have the wherewithal of developing technology. The challenge that we are facing today in the country is that the scale of our manufacturing is not good enough or viable enough to compete with the global scale, specifically with a player like China. Because if you look at the consumption level of our country versus China country, take our industry specifically, in air conditioner, we are roughly 1/10 penetration of China. In television, we are almost half of penetration of China. In refrigerators, we are 1/3 penetration of China. Though we have a population as large or close to China, but we don't have consumption like China. If consumption doesn't go up, I think viability doesn't come in to compete in the global market. And that's why there is an uncompetitiveness gap between India and China when we are fighting in the global market. And there are ways of we're bridging this gap. The first phase has already been achieved, as I've said. Under the Make in India program, the lot of assembly hubs have been created in telecom industry, in appliance industry, in other industry, in automobile industry. So we have bridged about 10% to 12% of the uncompetitiveness gap that you have in China. The next gap that we are seeing is about another 10 to 15% because components today are imported from China. So here is the right time for us to really to go and make that effort of building component ecosystem in this country. And if you're able to do that by inviting global players who are ready to invest, seeing the potential that they see in the country and the intent now that the government is showing, I think there is a high possibility that we will be able to bring global players to develop ecosystem of components. Once we do that, I think then the one biggest challenge that will be left is to build scale, which over a period of time, as we see, the competitiveness between us and China going down and some support in terms of production link incentive coming from the government, we can bridge this gap and fight in the global world and increase our export multifold. And that's what I think will give us a scale almost equivalent to China. This is not going to happen overnight. It will take a long period of time. And therefore, I think this program has to be clearly thought out, strategized, and implemented in this country.
My question is about the timing. We are looking at self-reliance or Atmanirbharta at a time when not just India, the world is looking at a pandemic-induced recession. And Atmanirbharta is being seen as the way forward, the way out of it. So it's connected. Let me come back to you, Mr. Goyal. In this scenario, just telling people that buy Indian because you are a patriot and everyone wants India to, go further and buy Indian goods is not going to be enough if the quality is not the same. You want to explain why you said a little while earlier that people should not expect handsets with newer and newer features every few months and be happy with what they buy?
No, actually, my comment has been taken not in the correct way. Now, first of all, whatever I am saying is limited to telecom sector. Let me explain it in terms of technology. We have several hundred thousands of villages which are unconnected in the northeast, left wing Himalayan regions, are regions which are non-approachable generally. Now what happens, we started to deploy their technology called 2G. By the time the tender was finalized, technology came 3G. By the time the orders were given, now we have the 4G. So now all the tenders were cancelled and now they are thinking of 4G. Now, our say to government is, by the time you decide for 4G, you will have 5G coming in. So are you going to again cancel 4G and come for 5G? That is the one thing. And by the time 5G comes in, even 5G is about 2 years ahead now. We are talking of 6G. Now, I want to say in any way, in telecom, we have no problem with scale, no problem demand, no problem quality. Quality is not any issue in telecom sector. Even when it comes to mobile phones, what I'm only saying is, we have, so I have explained about the technology part. Now comes the other part, mobile phone card. Even, I mean, every branded phone, even if suppose we had 4 or 5 companies in India who were very well established and giving a good market share. What happens every month, some new feature added today by somebody in X country, and suddenly you change your phone to iPhone, i6, i7, i8, Samsung 2, Samsung 3, Samsung 4. Now, if you want to manufacture same again here, it will take some time. And this is the marketing strategy of these companies. They will always have a new phone coming up. So, and now let's go back to what PM said. The needs of the villages to be met within village, needs of city within city, needs of district within district, needs of country within country. Now, if consumer says, I want the most high-tech thing, please don't drink the water available in India. Always drink the most costly water available in France, Evian. If you want the best car, then you should go for Rolls-Royce car. That's not the case. The point is not the quality. If you can afford the quality, please import it at the price. Even today, you can get a phone at the cost of 5 lakh rupees also. So I was not saying that we accept the quality today, but the problem is if tomorrow something
Sir,
is
you
announced.
are reiterating the exact same thing. This is in all consumer products, new versions come. You think Mr. Nandi has not got a new version of an AC or a refrigerator in the market, from time to time to get people to replace? No longer do you want to come in here, Mr. Nandi, and tell me if that's right or wrong. No longer do you want consumers to buy a product and sit with it for 15 years. That used to happen decades ago. When one refrigerator or one cupboard, almirah used to be in the house. That's not the world today. I don't think we can stop time and try to go back.
Okay, you answered my question.
Let Mr. Nandi come in.
Hold on. You answered my question. Do you want to have technology today 5G or 6G? Wait for 6G. Because by the time we make 5G, 6G will come. So again,
no, I'm a consumer. I want to have the option to buy whatever it is as soon as it's available. I'm a consumer. I don't think the idea for Atmanirbhar Bharat is to suppress the consumer. This is what we make. We make this. Just be happy with this till we catch up with the rest of the world. I must let Mr. Nandi come in.
There will always be a choice.
1 minute, Mr. Goyal, you must wait. Yes, Mr. Nandi.
So yes, I think you are right. I think customer today is spoiled of choices and they want new things. Every next purchase that they want to make. So something new, something relevant, something contemporary, they always want. And for us, I think our new product introduction vis-a-vis our overall business is about 40% plus year on year. So every year, 40% of our business is coming from new product categories, new product features, new product variants that we launch. And that is how I think, the whole consumer behavior is. They're continuously looking for something new, something latest. They don't want to go through the same product experience that they have gone in the past. They want something new that gives them excitement, that gives them some new convenience, comfort. And therefore, I think there is no running away from offering something relevant, something new, something latest, something contemporary all the time. And we have to continuously do this as brands and keep exciting the consumers to buy you.
Okay, Professor Dhar, just give me a sense now on how we can take this forward. Now, remember, we are in a world right now where every major country wants to start making more and more themselves internally. I was reading a piece today about how the United Arab Emirates wants to start growing rice in the desert because they want to be self-reliant. Because that's what, COVID-19 has told people and told nations, that you better be Atmanirbhar on every level. In that scenario, there is an opportunity for India. This has been emphasized by everyone. The Prime Minister said it again today. But are we taking the right approach if we're looking at ourselves as a replacement, as an alternative for China from nations that are now wary?
No, I think, as I said earlier also that, this term will have to be really interpreted properly because, I don't think that we can, the option is autarky, that you shut your doors and, start producing everything here. So you're not going back, sort of 70 years and then, like starting on a clean slate as if nothing else existed. So I think the way forward is really to be strategic, like I said. That there has been a discussion here in this country for several years, and I was participating in this. That look, the import of all these telecom equipment, mobile phones, and all have been going up too fast, and for our liking, both in terms of our a balance of payments and sort of security interests and everything. And you can't actually tolerate this kind of increase in imports of these of this equipment. Now, but see, frankly, let me be frank, and Mr. Goyal, and we have also participated in other panels. See, we haven't seen that kind of a response from the industry. That the industry has not responded to the extent that is required for us to, and this was a pre-COVID situation. To the needs that we actually have. So I think there needs to be a proper frame, and I would actually emphasize on industrial policy that is required to be put in place. Like in Make in India, the government had identified a set of sectors which it thought was very important for India's rejuvenating the manufacturing sector. And then, well, there was a decision to back those sectors. But let me be frank, those sectors never got that kind of a backing that was required. So I would say that, the government for the last 3 years has been talking in terms of an industrial policy, which puts together all the kind of thing that he's talking about, Prime Minister is talking about today, infrastructure, innovation, everything is put together today. So that, the industry has a proper roadmap and to know where it wants to go. So you don't get into the confusion that Mr. Goyal is talking about, and we have seen it in many other industries, that by the time the industry actually reaches that goal, that target, the goalpost has actually moved. Yeah. So I think the thing to be done here is to anticipate what is coming.
Yeah.
And if 6G is what is coming.
Maybe focus on where our strengths lie. I think it's a great idea to try and incentivize international players to come and manufacture in India because they already know what's next. They are at the forefront of the technology. I think that's the best way to go forward. The goal is clear. Everyone wants to be Atmanirbhar, has to be Atmanirbhar. But we have to make sure we reach there effectively without compromising on quality and also the advantages that globalization brings. I want to thank all of you for joining us on the first discussion this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.